Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Monday, May 7th, 2012. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right into the charts. We're going to start off with the S&P 500 E-mini futures, which are trading lower by about 4 points at the moment, right to around this 1358.50, 1358.75 level. So futures have come off the lows overnight. They were trading all the way down to the 1346, 1347 level. However, they have bounced back quite a bit, so we'll have to watch futures here. But futures were sharply lower last evening. However, they have come back quite a bit. We'll see how this market plays out once it starts. There's a lot to cover, so I'm going to just go over the brief news at the moment while we're looking at the futures here. But first thing you want to know is in France, it looks like there's a new president in town, and his name is Francois Hollande, beating out Nicolas Sarkozy last night or yesterday. And there's a new French president. He looks like he's a socialist, and we'll see how the market reacts to this. Overall, Greece had elections as well, and they turned out to really shake around their parliament. You're going to have different votes and different number of seats per party that's there, so you got to watch that very closely. There's a lot of new percentage shifts in the Greek parliament, and that is going to affect the market. If you take a look at NBG this morning, which is National Bank of Greece, you're going to see the stock is trading down about 25 cents. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's a $2 stock and you're down 25 cents, that's a big percentage. So once again, we'll have to see the effects there, what goes on in this market. But right now, the market is still getting adjusted to the new changes that are taking place in Europe. And again, you're seeing it in National Bank of Greece down about, I guess, 13-14% at the moment. But either way, this news definitely shakes things up a little bit. However, futures have come back off the lows to be just down 4 points. It's 8:26 in the morning, so we still have another hour to go. Expect this Monday morning to be a volatile trading session. A couple of other things to talk about real quickly. There was some positive German data out, economic data. That will help things in Europe, and overall the European markets this morning are basically really mixed. You have the FTSE 100, which is England. They can print their own currency. That's down about 2% this morning, so that's a sizable move lower. However, you do have the Italian market and also the Spanish market trading up a little bit more than 1%. France is up, I guess, 0.3%. And the German DAX is down about 0.4%. So it's really a mixed bag of tricks over there in Europe, and we'll see if how this market plays out. This morning, if we want to take a look at the euro versus the dollar, that's really the big talk. The euro is now catching a little bit of a bid, but nonetheless, still holding that important $1.29, 130 level, and you can see the euro is starting to trade up a little bit versus the dollar. So we'll see how that all plays out, but that's really the big problem there. If that euro starts to break down, everything could just start to fall apart. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out and shakes out. A couple of other things to talk about this morning real quick is going to be oil and gold. You do have gold lower by 7 points. Let's take a look at the GLD. You'll see the GLD trading around the 159 level. GLD on Friday did close at 159.47. So you can see gold is trading down a little bit. Also, you have oil trading down another 65 cents. Oil was crushed on Friday. Today it is trading down about 65 cents, right to around the 37.04 level. So still holding this 37 area on the USO, but spot crude is down another 64 cents to 97.80 per barrel. So it's going to be interesting to see how these commodities shake out. We'll have to watch the dollar very closely this morning. The US dollar index is still positive by about 23 cents. However, it's well off the highs of the day. If the dollar falls, the markets will come back, and you see that in the S&P 500 E-mini futures, how they were down much more last night and how they've come roaring back. And sure enough, if the dollar starts to fall, you'll see the markets inflate a little bit more. So we'll have to watch for that. All right, some stocks in the news today. Let's get right to the charts. We're going to talk about Vertex Pharmaceuticals. This stock is having a huge bid. It looks like a strong gap higher too, so you want to be a little bit aware of it, a little bit cautious. Very good resistance around this $60 level, But this is a very strong gap up this morning. So again, it probably will hold somewhere in here. I can't rule out that it won't even trade higher. It's not a gap I think you want to short, but it is a strong gap. But now coming up into pretty good near-term resistance, and we'll just have to see where that thing goes from here. Just trying to see if there's another level worthwhile for resistance, but it looks like 60 bucks is probably all the stock is telling us at the moment. Just give me one moment here. I'll see if we do have anything otherwise. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, it's going to be $60 and then really $64.50. So watch those two levels, 60 bucks and 64.50. But again, it's not a great fade candidate, even though it's overbought, overextended. At some point, it will need to pull back in. But they did get positive data on one of their drugs, and that's really sending the stock sharply higher this morning. Maybe it'll lift some other pharmaceuticals, will move higher, or some other biotechs in sympathy. But right now, Vertex is having a big move. Let's take a look at AIG today. AIG is trading down a little bit. Looks like the government sold some AIG stock. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I have it here in my notes. I did see it earlier. But the government got rid of a fair amount of AIG this morning. So that is going to bring the stock down. They got rid of some stock, I think, at 30.50. Stock was trading at 32.83 last week. But you can see it here trading down to $30.52. So the government is selling some stock back to AIG itself, and AIG had to buy the shares, so it's trading down at 30.50. Again, this is a government-run company as far as I'm concerned. I don't really look at it too closely, but nonetheless, stock is down sizably. Does have support around $30, maybe $29.75 if it does get down there. Let's take a look at another stock I saw this morning, Tyson Foods, you know, the chicken maker. That stock is trading up all the way to around 18.44. Decent little pop there. Some strength in the gap. We'll see if it can get above 18.50. If it does that, then it has some upside potential. But it is definitely a strong gap this morning. So it has a chance to run, but it got to get above 18.50 on a closing basis, 60-minute chart. Until it does that, still, you know, facing some resistance at 18.50 and even some more at 18.65. So I'm not in love with it here, but nonetheless, it is trading up in the pre-market hour. Let's take a look at Cognizant, ticker symbol CTSH. This stock is getting hammered this morning. I think it's earnings. Check out the news for yourself. I didn't really get a chance to look, but this stock is getting hit pretty hard. This is what we call a weak gap. So on weak gaps, I think the stock is inclined to get a bounce at some point. And if traders have the right support level, you can buy that buy that support area. Right now, I'm leaning. Well, I got to be honest, I'm leaning all the way down here to where it is. It's right now at a pretty sizable double bottom coming up around 61.50, and that's basically where the stock is trading. Watch, because this stock is in such a vulnerable position, watch a couple of other levels. I think the next best level would be $60. There's going to be some support, and then more around $53.75. So watch $60 and $53.75. Both levels could give you intraday bounces. I mean, 53.75 looks very good if it can get down there. That would be a real nice level. So we'll see if it does that. But you'll have support at $60 and $53.75 if it does flush. Okay, so those levels could be traded for a quick scalp play, I believe, looking at this gap down this morning. But that's a sizable gap down, and you have to still respect the fall in the market. And if the markets are weak, these things do not generally bounce back like they normally do. So you have to take all of that stuff into account. Let's take a look at I think it's BSFT, which is Broadsoft. This stock is trading all the way down to around 34 bucks at the moment. It's getting a bid as well. This stock is a weak gap down too. All a weak gap tells you is that you could get an intraday bounce, counter trend bounce. That's all it tells you. Doesn't mean the stock's going to, move right back up or anything like that. But you could trade the support levels for bounces. Right now, it looks like the stock is getting just a small, minute bid. I think it has some support around, 32.70, and then really 30 bucks looks pretty good. And if it gets all the way down to $24.85. That looks pretty good too. You may even find some support around 26.40. So watch those levels. Stock could be played for some intraday bounces around those levels. All right, and that's what I'm seeing this morning. Again, there's not all that much out there as far as big movers. Mondays have a tendency to be a little bit on the slower part of the week. So you always watch that. Usually lighter volume, but we have a lot coming out of Europe today. Last night, the Asian markets, with the exception of the Shanghai, they were all hit pretty hard from what I could see. You had the Hang Seng down 2.61%, the Nikkei 225 down 2.78%. So that's a pretty good fall. The Shanghai was flat, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the Indian Sensex was positive. Yeah, the Indian Sensex was positive. So Indian ADRs may hold up okay today if the markets hold up. But overall, you had the Hang Seng and the Nikkei really down sharply with the Shanghai flat. And we'll just have to take it for what it is. And we'll see where this market heads. But again, watch those Asian ADRs today. They could be a little bit vulnerable, especially if the markets are down. If the markets come through this and hold up fine, I don't really expect all that much out of the Asian ADRs, and we'll just see how it plays out. But right now, futures just down 4.5 points. Really, it's a big comeback from the overnight lows. If you see here, I mean, you could see how low the futures were trading, and now they've really come back quite a bit. So we'll see how it plays out. CNBC does have Warren Buffett on TV, the most bullish guy in the world, and we'll see how the market handles it. With that said, everybody, want to wish you all a great trading day, and we'll see you all on the charts tomorrow. Take care, everyone.